everyone. Welcome to another episode of Flashback 64, the chronological Nintendo 64 podcast. I am Gooey, joined as always by McKenna.
Hello.
Hey, and we're here and there's a loud conversation going on outside that we hope does not interfere with this episode, but I think we're going to be okay. I've got It's
not picking up. I think you're good.
We're joined by one of our guests today, Dr. Butler. Hey, Butler.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you guys doing? What's up? Welcome to Flashback 64.
Thank you. We were on your stream just yesterday, and I was all parent. There was literally folk music going on right outside, and I was so paranoid about it. We just moved, and we're like right by this little park, and now it's like a coin flip if there's going to be some gathering going on outside.
The weather's nice, and there are things going on outside.
I'm not gonna lie, that kind of rules.
Yeah, it is cool.
When you go outside and there's just like a bunch of hipsters having like a festival and stuff.
Oh yeah,
you're like, yo, what's up, man? Where the craft beer at? And like, a dude with like a big beard and glasses he's gonna know exactly where to get the hookup, you know?
Yeah, the vibe has been pretty good. So, but yeah, thank you for joining us, and thank you for having us on your stream the other day.
Oh, thank you for coming.
And we also have another great guest for today. Our pod network mate from the Soundstone Podcast Network. We're joined by Sean from Kirby Conversations. Hey, Sean.
Hi, good to be back. Yeah, I guess fellow Soundstone Network founder.
Yes, it's great to. This is our first time recording together since launching it, and I'm pretty excited about the whole prospect. And looking forward to.
Yeah, it was a smooth launch, and I'm looking forward to seeing everything we accomplished together. I feel like our shows were already in the same kind of universe already. It just made sense to unite them more officially.
Yeah, yeah. We're pretty pumped about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's challenge.
So today we got both returning guests to the show, which is great. We can kind of just get more into the action of the day. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and do our flashback segment where we let people know what was going on at the time. Of course, today we're talking about the games Fighters Destiny and NBA in the Zone 98 from, we're moving forward in time. Our last episode was January 29th, 1998. We're now moving forward to January 31st, which was when Fighters Destiny was released, and February 16th, which was when NBA in the Zone was released. So here's some of the stuff that was going on.
Chumbawamba, right?
Chumbawamba was doing pretty good. They were still hanging out in the top 10, but they never Candle in the Wind boxed them out from number one in the United States. They could only get there in Canada. So
are we still in Candle in the Wind?
No
territory.
So we just moved on from that in our last episode, and so now our number one song for 2 weeks is Together Again by Janet Jackson, followed by Nice and Slow by Usher. So Usher's popping off here. Once again, R.I.P. Candle in the Wind. It was a nice journey, but yeah,
we blew out the candle.
Oh God.
Don't say that.
So I
the
think
candle burned out.
It burnt. Oh. The beans are out of the Beanie Baby.
That's worse.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on.
Also a topical reference.
Speaking of, I guess, tragic events, number one album once again for this time period. Basically, this entire time, and it'll continue for quite some time into number one. It's the number one album of 1998. Titanic, music from the motion picture. And during this period, the number two album the entire time is Let's Talk About Love by Celine Dion. So My Heart Will Go On was just dominating the album sales world. And of course, this whole time period, Titanic was also the number one movie for like the first few months of 1998. So we've moved on from Candle in the Wind. We're in the Titanic zone.
We're still devastated.
We're still, we're never letting go.
I'll never let go. I promise.
Here's some video games that came out around this time. For Game Boy, you had the Game Boy version of Bust-A-Move 2, and you had James Bond 007, the Game Boy like Bond RPG game that looks, I've never played it, but it looks kind of weird and interesting.
Is that kind of a top-down one?
Yeah, I remember seeing that in like Nintendo Power when I was like 7 and not playing it. You know, honestly, looking at it, it kind of reminds me of like Metal Gear Solid Ghost Babel. It might be more like that.
I feel like it's one I'm very curious about. Like as a Bond fan and GoldenEye being one of our flagship games, I feel like we're obligated to cover it someday. So.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I feel like that's a game that like I remember seeing when I was younger and I wasn't interested in it at the time. But like now that I'm older and I like James Bond movies, it's like that could be worth going back to now.
Yeah. I feel like it's like maybe this is a hidden gem or maybe I don't know. It could suck too. Who knows? Okay, Saturn. Wait for the whole title. Daytona USA Championship Circuit Edition, Netlink Edition. So this was like the web version of Daytona USA Championship Circuit Edition that I guess the Saturn had some online capabilities. The Netlink.
Yep.
Yeah, I had no.
Yes, Japan only.
Japan only. Okay, so we didn't even get that. So you didn't have an option between NBA in the Zone and this game. So no big deal. PS1. This is where we always have some of the ones that people really remember. We've got Bomberman World, Broken Sword, The Shadow of the Templars, Arcade's Greatest Hits, the Atari Collection 2, and Load Runner, the PS1 edition, I guess. So, okay, maybe not as heavy as last time we had like Resident Evil 2 and Final Fantasy Tactics and stuff. So maybe not as heavy hitters this time around, but...
What are you talking about? Load Runner is a load-bearing video game. It is a seminal classic. I mean, everyone's played Load.
Yeah, no disrespect.
I have played the PS1 Load Runner. It's okay for what it is.
Okay, I mean, I'm not saying it could probably be much worse than any of the games we're talking about today. Nothing against today's games, but I mean, I could see it being just as good. Okay, of course, February 7th to 22nd were the Winter Olympics in Nagano, which this actually is sandwiching. Our previous episode was on the Nagano Winter Olympics game, and on our next episode we'll be talking about Olympic hockey 98. So we're in a Olympics season, I guess. I don't know if anyone's a big Winter Olympics fan here, but
I like Cool Runnings. Does that count?
Speaking of R.I.P. Candle in the Wind, February 11th, the lyrics to Candle in the Wind 1997 were auctioned for charity for $442,000. So something good.
Was it like a handwritten?
I don't know.
Page?
I just read that. I didn't look into it.
Just singing the lyrics. They're owned by that one guy.
Yeah, maybe it was like in his notebook or something. I don't know. It's a sticky note.
Type it up in a Word document.
It's on like a bar napkin, written in crayon.
For the last time then, at 400,000, are you all done, Andrea? It's the gentleman in the room, and I'm selling it now for 400,000, and it's yours, sir.
Hey everyone, my name's Darren Hupke. I'm a writer, publisher, and podcaster. My podcast is called Pixels and Polygons. Each week I sit down with a guest and ask one simple video game question. It's a random topic each week and it leads to a fun conversation. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform every Friday, and you can read more about it at pixelsandpolygons.net.
That's what was going on. I feel like, so I have for the games, I actually have them, I flipped reverse order because we learned the last time you kind of want to put the cooler game later, or otherwise you talk about an exciting game and then it's like, now, okay, so we're going to do this. This is a judgment call. It might not be, people might not agree, but we're going to talk about NBA in the Zone 98 first and leave Fighter's Destiny for the main event. So,
Yes.
McKenna, tell us about NBA in the Zone 98.
NBA In the Zone 98 is a basketball game featuring the 1997-98 NBA season roster and is the third entry in the In the Zone series. It is the first N64 basketball game to include 5v5 gameplay. Game modes include Exhibition, Playoffs, All-Star, and Season. In an Exhibition, you'll play a one-off friendly match. In the Playoffs, you'll set the number of games, participating teams, and the game schedule for a playoff tournament. In All-Star mode, you'll select individual players for each team and play an All-Star game. And in the Season mode, you'll play through a regular season and the playoffs. Up to 4 players can play in any mode, cooperatively or competitively. The game features player and team stats and results from the 96-97 season and the schedule for the 97-98 season. You're also able to create a player and trade and edit teams. Adjust the game rules to create either a more realistic or arcade experience in NBA In the Zone 98.
Nice ending there. So this is our second basketball game.
Yes.
Totally different though. Our first game was NBA Hang Time, which is again,
Hell yeah.
more of an arcade experience. So it was a little different for us. But actually, nobody here really agreed to talk about this game. It just
kind of happened.
When I asked people, I'm kind of curious about it because when I ask people, like, tell me the games you want to talk about, and I put it in my little sheet, and I think there's some people who are like, oh, any sports game is fine, but no one likes, some games actually get people like, I want to talk about this. I need to talk about this one. This one, no. So, I guess we established in our last episode, like neither of us, McKenna, were like big basketball fans necessarily growing up, really. Like,
yeah, I played basketball for a few years, but I liked watching basketball games like in person in college. But yeah, I don't think about it too much these days.
Yeah. And like I mentioned, like I was a little kid. I from Northern Illinois, and loved like Space Jam as a kid, but that's like the extent of my basketball fandom, I guess. So, Butler, how about you? Like we were on your stream this weekend. I heard you mentioned the Knicks and stuff.
Yeah, I'm a huge basketball fan, actually. I play a lot of basketball games, actually. I play them quite a bit. So like, this I am the perfect guest for this specific episode because it's a basketball game and a fighting game.
See, I didn't even know that about you. I didn't know the basketball game, but you did talk about how this could technically be a fighting game.
That is a joke that we like to throw around in our community, is like, we'll just really stretch the definition of like fighting games. We're always like, puzzle games are fighting games, and then we have like Puyo Puyo on screen, and we're like, look at how hype this is. And I mean, it is. Puzzle games are kind of lit, actually.
I buy that. Yeah. Sean, how about you? Are you a much of a basketball fan in general?
I'm really not. I have nothing against it. Like if a basketball game happens to be on or something somewhere, I might watch it and get entertainment out of it, but it's definitely not something I actively follow. Like I feel like I'm glad I'm from Wisconsin. I'm glad when the Bucks do well because it means everyone else will be excited and happy about that.
Yeah.
And I, by osmosis, I want them to do well. Like it's not like I truly don't care anything, but it's not something I actively follow.
Totally. Yeah, I have that same sentiment. Like when people are all excited and stuff, I'm happy for them. I'm not like a sports ball type person, you know what I mean, who gets all upset about it. But and I mean, I can appreciate. I love watching people do cool dunks and stuff. I'm not opposed to it at all. But
yeah, I liked NBA Street Volume 2 on the GameCube and Volume 3.
Hell yeah,
that series is good.
Is that the one with like Mario in it?
They're in Volume 3.
Okay.
Those are like the 3-on-3.
Yeah, I mean, I've
games.
played various like arcadey basketball games over the years, but I don't have as much experience with the more realistic ones.
Okay, how about Butler? How about like the In the Zone series? McKenna mentioned it's the third one. Yeah. We didn't really go back and check any of them out. What's the prestige of the In the Zone series? Like, is it known for anything?
It's like the basketball equivalent of Quarterback Club, where it's just kind of this thing that happened and no one remembers it, you know?
Yeah. Okay. What did you think playing it?
It was okay. I definitely, I felt like we were playing it, and I was like, yeah, I'd rather play Hang Time.
Yeah.
Like, I like the more arcadey gameplay over this, and it could be hard to follow what was going on the screen. It was just like the 5v5 and the graphics were not great. And
yeah. Visually, it's not like a very impressive game, I would say. It's serviceable, but yeah, some of the stuff looks kind of rough.
Yeah. I felt like I was spending a lot of time trying to figure out where I was on the screen and what was happening, and not like actually doing much.
Mm-hmm. I had that the first time we played, and then I played like a 10 games or so over the course of the past month, and eventually, you get used to all that, especially when it's just one person. I'm not worried about, like, I don't get confused by the colors or anything like that. So it eventually became, when you're playing on like easy, it's like a chill basketball game to play, and it's not too tough or anything. And it kind of, for me as someone who doesn't know basketball games like super deeply, it was like, it seemed just as good as a lot of other ones I've played, but I'm sure there's more nuance with like the difficulties, and there's a bunch of controls that I didn't even use, so I'm guessing when you get more into it, maybe there's something there, but it's for me, it's like fighting games too, where I'm like, I can't fully ever grasp the depth of the mechanics, or even some of the soccer games we played. I'm like, I just, whatever C up does, I don't hit it,
Mm-hmm.
So Butler, you're like a big basketball game fan. Like, what do you think about this game?
You know what? I said it like 7 times during the stream yesterday. The immediate thing that I noticed is there's no player indicators. Like on your character. Like every other basketball game I played has like a big flashing 1P, 2P, 3P. This is just like, this is Patrick Ewing, and I'm like, he certainly is, but who is playing as Patrick Ewing? Game, help me here.
Yeah, it doesn't help that it's like you're red. If you're on one team with someone, it's like you're red and orange or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think there were options for different ways to display it, but I don't know if I can't remember if any were the player number, so I'm not quite sure. Sean, did you get in and play a couple games of this?
I have not played this game. I did watch it.
Okay.
So I know what it looks like. It looked like basketball.
Yeah.
In a more realistic sense than maybe the average kind of arcadey kind of basketball game. It seemed to fill that niche in the Nintendo 64 library of, like, if you were into basketball and wanted to play a more realistic basketball game, a little bit more of a basketball sim, maybe this is the one you'd choose. But I didn't get much of a deeper reading off of it than that.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think that's fair. It's like I said, it's serviceable. I don't know, like Butler, could you play this again, or is it like you're probably not interested?
There's so many better options.
I'm sure even in
like,
1998, right? Like, I'm guessing there's other basketball games we will encounter on our show, not even including like PlayStation and whatever else.
Yeah, I like, this came out the year between Hang Time and Showtime.
Yeah.
And like about a year after that, Sega would start doing the 2K series. So
okay.
I mean, at the time you would have Hang Time, and I think Showtime might have been out in arcades, but it wasn't ported to consoles yet. But it did exist in the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Looking at reviews at the time, it looks like the PlayStation version was better received than the Nintendo 64 one was.
I feel like that's been, I think, for almost, well, not all, but there's been a handful of sports games we've played where it's like you're usually better off with the PlayStation. I think there's a couple we played where it was the outlier, but yeah, that's unfortunate, I guess. But that kind of goes along with, I think the PlayStation did have more of a reputation at the time for being like, this is for your more games for grown-ups, and I feel like sports sims fit better into that compared to like a more arcadey game or something.
Well, I mean, there were very good sports games on Nintendo 64, and they all had Mario.
Yeah, there you go.
Mario Tennis is actually very good.
Oh, absolutely.
That is one of the best tennis games I've ever played. It's like, like it's a fucking Mario game with like Shy Guys and cartoons and shit, but like the physics on that game are like spot on. Like that is like a simulator caliber tennis game.
Yeah, I think that was good. I mean, I don't remember the quality of like Mario Golf, but I love that too. I loved all those. I don't know, McKenna. I feel like we don't need to spend too much time on this game, but any other thoughts you had on either the gameplay or just how you felt with this one?
Well, a couple of things. I felt like blocking or stealing was harder, and I mean it was probably easier in Hang Time because it was arcadey, but I felt like I could never pull off a block or a steal.
You had to get really in there, and I definitely noticed there was more. That's something I picked up that was like, oh yeah, this would be more of a like crucial thing in like a basketball game, but like more of like just being able to block other characters, physically. I definitely noticed like I was like how do I set a pick or whatever, because I kept getting like trapped and stuff like that, and that's something I didn't consider as much in like Hang Time. I feel like it was just like gun it, try to do some dunks.
Yeah, I think that's like the thing is that like you're going for a realistic basketball. Like defense is really important in a basketball game, like defense and rebounding. And if you can't do that in like a realistic game, then I'd definitely rather do a more arcadey, like full on offense kind of thing.
It definitely came back to me like thinking of playing, because I in my adulthood I haven't played a ton of like these types of games. When I was a kid, like they were, everybody I knew had one. So I would play basketball games, but I never got good because I never really played them on my own. And it definitely, when playing defense, it definitely gave me that feeling, the exact same like loop of this weird, like I don't know how to actually like defend people trying to go for it. Like, so I just like stand by the hoop and like jump when they shoot. And I'm like, I guess that's, I don't know the strategies. I don't know the defense in these type of games. I'm an basketball idiot.
If I may hop in, my biggest complaint with the gameplay is there's just a total lack of like autocorrect when you shoot or pass. So if you're like if you're trying to run past the 3-point line to like shoot a 3-pointer and you're holding like left and then you hit the button, you throw it in that direction.
Oh, yep.
And like you saw how many times I was trying to pass and I'd pass it out of bounds and lose possession of the ball, and I'm like, why would they do that? Why is that even something you can do? You throw it out of bounds because you're facing that direction. Like,
I definitely did that a couple times on my own as well, which was very frustrating. I feel like
it's just like in a real basketball game where you accidentally throw the ball in front of you rather than throwing it next to you.
Like straight at the audience. It was like a cannon shot.
Oops.
There was one little touch. We didn't really get into it on the stream, but something I eventually picked up on was like you could do like timeouts, and like your characters did have like a stamina gauge, and it's like you could hold Z to run, but then you could hit C down to do like a little extra drive, like a little quick boost of speed or whatever. And I think that would kind of deplete your stamina. So like you could like, in like between quarters and stuff, you'd have to like manage your team a bit and stuff. And I never really got into those mechanics. I did a little bit in like International Superstar Soccer was one game, but I don't know. It was fun enough on some of the games I played to have to worry about it, but it wasn't like too stressful. You know what I mean? You could forget about it and be fine. The only other thing I wanted to say about this game was, so it's a Konami sports game. Speaking of International Superstar Soccer, and I think all the ones we've played have had decent vibes in terms of like some of the music and the menus. And this game was like not quite as good as those other games, but like I thought the menu, like music and vibes were like pretty solid. So overall, like not the actual in-game vibes were a little bit subpar, but overall it was a decent game.
I love the JPEG crowds. They're very realistic and convincing.
Those are rough. Those are rough. But I mean, I think every game we've played so far with a crowd has been kind of rough looking crowd. That's just maybe a sign of the times more than anything.
I'm also looking at other basketball games of the time, and it looks like NBA Live 98 was also a contemporary of this game. And that seems to be maybe like the realistic basketball game of that year if you wanted to play a basketball game set in 1998. But it didn't come out on the Nintendo 64. So maybe this is sort of your alternative. Like if you didn't have a PC or a PlayStation or Sega Saturn or something, couldn't play NBA Live 98, at least you had access to In the Zone. And NBA Live was praised for its graphics. So now I'm kind of curious what it looks like compared to In the Zone.
That's always
and it sounds like it's the first first basketball game to use like actual like characters modeled after actual player photographs and certain interesting innovations.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
like in
wonder how that compares.
Oh, nice. We'll have to. We've been talking about like it would be cool one day to do like get our hands on as many like of one type of sports game, like soccer, basketball on PlayStation, and play that and do like a taste test or whatever. See what we like.
And I do see how if someone were a sports fan at the time, it must be neat to be able to go back in time to that era and play with those players. If there were like certain players who just aren't around anymore, and just watching the sport evolve in a certain way and watching the games evolve with it, it might not appeal to me necessarily in that way. But what an interesting time capsule, especially for a basketball fan.
Yeah, it's fun to pull up like like I was sending people I know who are like into basketball, like various rosters and like just seeing what they say, and they're commenting on players. I have no idea what they're talking. I only know like Shaq. It's like him and like Dennis Rodman are like the only people I know in the game, you know? So tell me about the deep cuts is what I'm looking for.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of modern sports games will have like legacy teams. They'll have like the Fantasy Legend League or some shit.
That is cool. I like
Unfortunately, in more modern sports games, now that's all like gotcha shit. Like I got NBA 2K23 was free on PS4. And I started playing that, and immediately it's like, you have no players, you have no teams. Open these trading card packs.
You start with
here's Dennis Rodman.
You start with no
here's
teams.
The Knicks. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, you have like nothing.
Okay, I don't like that.
Everything is it's all casino shit.
Well, luckily we're not gonna have to deal with that on this show, I guess. So
I do feel like I should play some 2K though, because a lot of my students like it, and I feel like it'd be a good way to sort of simulate knowing about basketball is to at least be like, well, I've at least played the recent basketball video game that they're playing, even if I can't talk about the actual sport with them.
That's it. There's been years where I'll see like one of those types of games on like some sale or something like that. And I'm like, maybe I should just try it. But then I'm like, who am I kidding? I'm not going to try this. So, but there's that's my problem. It's nothing wrong with these games other than maybe those gotcha things. That sounds kind of bad, but
I like to imagine actual sports management happening with those like gotcha packs where they're like, who's on my team this year? And they just have to open little packs and see.
Yeah, that's the NBA draft. They just open little loot crates.
They could make it into a roguelite deck builder.
This year, everyone, the NBA is going to be a roguelike deck builder. You're going to start all over again once you lose, but it's okay.
You can make that work.
Yeah, we could make up a new title for this genre. We could call them like LeBron Vanias or something.
I would call it Ball Latro.
There we go.
When I was little, they called me Slim. I'd go to the schoolyard and practice till it got dark. Now they call me G Money because when I get the ball, I just know it's going in. But now, my hands are your hands. Drain it.
With NBA in the Zone 98, beat Pippen, Barkley, Malone, beat Robinson, Ewing, Penny.
Beat me.
NBA in the Zone 98 for PlayStation and Nintendo 64 from Konami.
When you're in the zone, no one can stop you.
Hello, we are Kirby Conversations, a podcast on Kirby, along with other adjacent subjects like Smash Bros., HAL Laboratory, and other related Nintendo games.
In each episode, we take an in-depth, well-researched look at a Kirby topic, drawing on our decades of experience playing Kirby games, creating Kirby-related content, and working in and around the video game industry. I'm Sean Douglas. I'm a theater and video game journalist.
And my name's Bridget. I'm an online Kirby commentator and collector.
Our team also includes photographer and Nintendo ambassador Kai Captain Dangerous Parker, and Gigi, the editor-in-chief of Wick Kirby. Join us for deep dives into Kirby's history, interviews with industry professionals, and even inside looks at Nintendo, as together we explore all things Kirby and HAL Laboratory. You can find Kirby Conversations on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Okay, let's talk about our main event, because I'm more excited about this game. McKenna, let us know about Fighter's Destiny.
Fighter's Destiny is a 3D fighting game that relies on a point-based system rather than just a health gauge to determine a winner. By default, fighters play first to 7 points, though this can be customized along with all the point values. A ring out or judge determination will award 1 point by default, while a knockout will award 3 and a special skill 4. Controls are simple, with A and B buttons performing lower and upper attacks, respectively, the R button for defense, and the L button for dodging or guarding. There are 5 game modes, including versus com, versus battle, win or lose, record attack, and master challenge. In versus battle, you'll play a regular match with regular rules. In versus com, you play against every character, and when cleared, you'll gain a special skill and the chance to fight a hidden character. In win or lose, 2 save characters fight against each other for skills. The winner gains a skill while the loser loses a skill. If a character runs out of skills, they are erased. There are 3 different record attack challenges. In survival, you'll try to defeat as many characters as you can. In fastest, you'll attempt to clear 4 stages as quickly as possible, and in rodeo, you'll try to stay in the ring with the cow character for as long as possible. In the Master Challenge, you'll randomly fight one of 8 masters or 4 jokers. Defeating a master will net you a new skill, while losing to a joker will erase all of your skills. Choose from a selection of arenas, such as the hot air balloon or cityscape, and be the first to 7 points to win.
Dang, there's so much you can do.
Yeah.
You really got in there.
I love the way that it's phrased. That one line, it kind of sounded like something from like the American like Saturday morning cartoon dub of an anime. It's like, if you lose all your skills, you will be erased. Like, all right, Yu-Gi-Oh, relax.
That was a good touch. I like that. Yeah, so this is, well, we've played we've talked about this on Butler's stream, McKenna, but you've played more fighting games in the past year or 2 of your life than you have in your entire life.
Yeah.
But we've got, so we'll start with you actually, because both Butler and Sean, you were actually both suggested this game to talk about. So McKenna, just from a complete, this is like not your genre, not your world. You've been bombarded with so many types of fighting games, some of the worst you could imagine. What'd you think about this game?
This one was pretty good. It's unique. I think it's like easy to get into for a beginner.
It's only like 2 buttons.
Yeah.
Maybe 4.
The point system is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of makes it so like maybe even if you're getting beat up a ton, you could still like turn it around with a special skill.
Yeah, or even if you take a loss, you could come back in another round or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's less discouraging when you get knocked down, you get back up again. Okay.
I just got a cow.
Cool.
Cow, yeah, cow.
And cow, yeah, which we loved
Right.
the cow.
Very popular Blue Sky ski.
McKenna went viral on Blue Sky for posting cow.
Yeah.
Look, I'll just say Kung Pao Enter the Fist is a great movie.
Yes, you shared that for the live for the stream. So, well, okay, Butler, what's your backstory with this game? Had you played it before?
I've never played this game until yesterday, but I played Toy Fighter, which is like the secret third Fighter's Destiny.
Yes.
That was released for Sega Naomi. It's basically the same thing, except they add like a ring mechanic. There's like this big hula hoop around your characters, and you could do like these pro wrestling turnbuckle jumps and stuff.
Ooh.
That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
So the first thing I noticed when I played this is it's basically 3D Battle Cave Road. If you don't know what Battle Cave Road is, it's this but 2D.
Oh, okay.
And that game has a bear. There's a bear in that game. It has the Terminator.
Not the Tekken bear, or isn't that?
No, different bear. This is Mr. Bear.
Okay.
There's also a Tony Hawk, not that Tony Hawk, but his name is Anthony Hawk.
Oh wow!
But yeah, it's like those 4 games: Battle Cave Road, the 2 Fighters Destinies, and Toy Fighter, are really the only game that tried what this game is going for, which is making this like professional karate kind of simulation. Where you have like points and there's like judges. There's multiple methods to win.
Yes, I like that professional. Yeah, I did feel like a karate guy playing this game for sure. Sean, you suggested this one to me, so it sounded like you had some history with this one.
Yeah, I had played this one before. It was one, I haven't had it for that long. I got it last year, but it was one that I remembered reading about Nintendo Power back in the day. And then I used to just see it a lot at like conventions and game stores and stuff. And so I finally decided to pick it up last year at the Midwest Gaming Classic. It was like $10 or $15 or something. Like, it was very affordable. It's like, okay, I'll give this a try. I like fighting games. Like, I know this one's a little different. It sounded like it had some creative ideas in it. And I was very pleasantly surprised with how good I thought it was. Not like amazing, I don't know what people throw around hidden gem and stuff like that a lot. It's like, I don't know that I would call it that. Like, you have to rush out and play it. But I've had a lot of fun with this game. It was much better made than I thought it would be in some regards. I don't know. I went into it without a lot of expectations. I thought it would be like, okay. But it's actually a pretty polished experience. I do like that it has its own unique take on things. It's actually very Virtua Fighter-y, if people are familiar with that game. It kind of reminded me of the Virtua Fighter series.
I think Butler, you had mentioned that to us.
Feels kind of like a weird blend of like Dead or Alive and Virtua Fighter, because it has like the general movement, like the moment-to-moment movement and mobility and just the way your character works. It feels more stiff and rigid like in Virtua Fighter, but then you do have like a 3D movement button like you would have in like DOA, like with the A-Way run.
I'll always think of it as the 3D button to me, the
3D button, yeah.
And it was made by Genki, who I think also did the Dreamcast port of Virtua Fighter 3. So they had like done other fighting games, and I think they did some racing games too.
Yeah, Tokyo Extreme Racing.
Yeah, that's their big, which they have a new one out now. I
gotta get on that shit.
Good thing. Yeah, we mostly knew them as racing. The only other N64 game we've played of theirs so far was Multi Racing Championship, which was a pretty neat racing game. Which is it's maybe not as unique in its genre as this game, but it did have like, some little extra touches. Like we kind of liked how it had like branching routes you could go, like more off road, and then one that's more like regular, and you could choose between whether you want more of an off road vehicle or like a race car. And so it was like a little extra touch, and that's kind of how I felt about this one. It felt like it was like you guys were saying, it probably, I could tell, even though know nothing about fighting games, that this was not like top of the heap type fighting game, but it was like very competent. And then you add in that extra like sort of mechanic of the point system, and it like gives it a new dimension to it that makes it engaging. So it kind of like, in my mind, when I think of it, I'm like, this game is awesome, but it's probably like just a decent game with a unique mechanic, but that's enough to excite me about it.
It's pretty solid. I would say it's mystery tournament worthy. That is my iconic catchphrase. I got to tell my friend Alex.
Mystery tournament?
To put that in our mystery tournament. Yeah, mystery tournament.
I could see that.
You know that mystery tournament?
Oh, where it's like you don't know what the game is being played?
No. It's not just that. It's every set's a different game.
Oh, okay. That's really cool.
Right, like we do some of those online. But there's one like at Combo Breaker and Frosty Faustings.
Yeah.
Over in Chicago, they have the Chicago Mystery Tournament, and these two guys, they show up with like fucking 17 consoles and like 8 million joypads. And they're sitting there hot swapping all the cables and stuff. They're like, oh, the next game is going to be Wreckin' Crew 98 for Super Famicom BS Satellaview. Here, you're a little rice bowl, you know?
That's awesome. I love that.
Just, it rolls.
Yeah, Sean, I think I only recently learned. I didn't know you were like really into fighting games, actually.
Yeah, it's refreshing to talk about something that's not Kirby or Smash Brothers on this show. Because like I do play a lot of other games, and just in terms of what I've been podcasting about more recently, it's mostly games with Kirby or Hell Laboratory things. But I like plenty of other games too, and I do like fighting games a lot.
Yeah, I feel that. It's nice to like break out of your typecast because I'm always brought out as like the fighting game guy, but I got to talk about basketball today. We're having a great time, you know?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't want to pigeonhole you. It was nice to bring you on and talk about something that's not...
I'm getting Al Pacino.
We've got Criticom and then this. But we'll get you... we'll get you on for something out of the box. Not a non-fighting game.
Get me on for that Goemon shit.
Well, Sean, I guess since we didn't really get to talk about your fighting game backstory at all, like at this time... What were you playing?
So I wasn't playing a lot of fighting games back
gotcha.
then. I grew up with Nintendo consoles, and there just like weren't as many fighting games available on those. I mean, like I had seen like Street Fighter 2 before and stuff like that, but like they were not really a genre of game that was like regularly on my radar.
Gotcha.
Kind of in like the 2000s, I started playing more like Soul Calibur and some other things, like Soul Calibur 2 and like GameCube and like X-Men Next Dimension for the GameCube was also a game I really liked. But at this point, I would have been in like third grade or something, and I just like wasn't really playing fighting games. I was playing like Bomberman 64 and Super Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie and things like that. And then it wasn't that like until maybe a few years ago, kind of later 2010s, where like I started getting like a lot more kind of more deeply interested in fighting games. Like I had enjoyed them kind of like here and there. But I started really wanting to figure out like how they worked. I got really into BlazBlue Central Fiction, and that was like started looking at like the Dust Loop wiki and stuff like that, and being like, I want to learn how to be like good at these games instead of just kind of button mashing or just kind of like seeing what I could make work. Like I want to learn the strategy behind these games. They seem really fun and like something I've been kind of missing out on to some degree throughout my life. Mm-hmm. So it's really just been kind of the past few years. I started going to more conventions. I've been to EVO a few times, but I'm not a competitive player by any means. I just enjoy them casually.
Yo, who do you play in BlazBlue?
I like Mai a lot.
Okay. That is, I'm not like super into BlazBlue. That's the squirrel, right?
She's the girl with the spear.
Oh, her. Okay.
I really liked the spear mechanics and how you could like throw it off the screen and then call it back in. And there's a lot of interesting things going on with every character in that game. And I think it was like my first time playing a fighting game where everyone had their own like systems and mechanics and meters and stuff. And it was like, oh wow, like this feels really creative. Like everybody just plays so differently.
Yeah, I love it.
I want to really dig into this.
They all feel like they're in the wrong game. They all feel like they're pulled from somewhere else. They all have like such unique mechanics and stuff.
What Butler, what was your like into like fighting games? I don't know if we asked you that before, but like
well, you know what, like some of what Sean said applies to me too. Like I grew up, like I was born in 89. Mm-hmm. So like when fighting games were like super big, I was like a little kid. And like fighting games were like the big kid games, those were for like the teenagers to play. Like I would be like, I want to play The Simpsons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That's what I would be like. I want to play Hang On. I'd fuck around with like Clay Fighter, and like they had Sam Show 64. at my arcade, and I thought that was the shit. And I was like, why isn't it on Nintendo 64? It has 64 on the title. Is a logical thing for a 7-year-old would think, yeah. But you know, it wasn't like I got a Dreamcast, and that's when I started getting into like Marvel and Soul Calibur. So that was kind of like the thing. It wasn't really until like middle school, high school that I sort of started getting into it. We played a shit ton of Melee in high school.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, all about Melee. Melee is life. It's like Shrek.
So I still am at the point in my life where I'm not like fully into these games, but I think through playing this show and playing so many, again, not very many like great ones, but there have been like there's certain types of things I pick up more on fighting games now. I'm gonna sound like a total like infant here, but like I just like oh, that's how, like I now know certain, you know, like shapes you do for combos and stuff, and I can't always pull them off, but like I find myself more instinctually doing them in games when I pick them up, and so it's been kind of a good feeling to I would love to maybe someday play like a serious
I'll pull you in some more. Listen, my purpose in life is to indoctrinate people into the genre. Like one of my ex-girlfriends was a single mother, and like by the time we were done dating, she'd like text me and she's like, my kids just keep fucking asking me to play Melty Blood and I don't know what that is. And I'm like,
it's time. Okay. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's time.
You could probably.
So, Goog, you tell me what do you think? What is it about the genre that you don't like? And I can tell you a game that'll click with you.
It's not that I don't like it, and like there are like I actually love. I mean, I got into Soul Calibur 2 back in the day because you know Link was in it, and I play it now, and like that one I do have like I still play it, and I'm like, this is so fun. You know what I mean? So there are some that I have like burst through the barrier on the other side. Like I'm not very good at it, but like I can play it competently and it's fun. And then there's the thing that's always been the hurdle for me is like, you know, like making that connection of like pulling off like doing a sequence of button presses to make one move happen.
Okay, so there you go. If that's your problem, Samurai Showdown, no combos.
Okay. I mean, yeah,
it's all single button presses. You do one stab and it does like 35% damage.
Okay.
It's meant to simulate, right? There's also Bushido Blade, which is like the idea of Samurai Showdown, but took to its logical extreme. It's like all one-hit kills.
I mean,
like no combos. It's pure footsies.
It's kind of why I could get into this game. There are combos and stuff, but just like you mentioned, the 2 buttons made it a little easier to like,
very basic.
Okay, I'm going to start experimenting with just these 2 button combinations. It makes it a little bit easier. And like to do a grab is more straightforward.
Yeah, actually, you know what? You brought up grabs.
I know you're going to mention this, yeah.
The one problem I have with this game is it has there's only one kind of throw. That's if you hit both attack buttons. And the tech window for throws is like enormous.
Mm-hmm.
So like if you throw an opponent, they could just tech your throw and then you could rethrow and it just goes back and forth. And the two of them do this little hug dance for like the entire round. You just keep teching each other's throws over and over. I don't know if that was addressed in Fighter's Destiny 2. It was addressed in Toy Fighter, because there's 2 kinds of throws in that game, so that means like it becomes a 50-50 mix-up when you try to throw them. They could tech it or they could not. But here it's like you could just keep breaking each other's throws over and over indefinitely, and like the whole game could just be the 2 of you doing that. That is the biggest problem I have with this game. Other than that, it's really good.
Yeah, I feel like when someone tries to throw you, you're just like, oh, don't throw me. I'll just push the thing that makes them not throw me anymore. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just like, okay.
I liked that when I was playing, just like not against people, because I never got into that situation where it was over and over. That's always something I'm glad to have, like you guys on, because like you see things in them that I would never notice. But like I liked it because it did make me feel like less. It was just like way more easygoing, you know, like you mentioned, Sean, like, no, don't do that. And it like made it, I don't know, like I like,
I'm gonna throw you. I'd rather you did it.
And I feel like it was like if you were your stamina gauge was lower, it was harder for you to like reverse it, or maybe that was just like coincidence that I had that happen. But
it might be placebo effect,
okay.
but it did seem like that was going on, like kind of like a spirit gauge in like a wrestling game.
And there was like, I don't know how, like if you felt this way, McKenna, but like playing it, it did feel like it had a weight to it that the wrestling that we played, WCW versus NWO World Tour, like obviously it's like a different system, but like when you would do like a grapple on someone, like they did have kind of like the same weight to it as that. So maybe that's why I liked it too, because I do like those games. Fighting games you're not like, how do I get into this genre? How do I break in? You're just like okay with them.
It probably fits my style of just like button mashing more, because there's less button things going on here.
Just put your thumb over the two and go for it.
Yeah.
I will say with the throw is, given how a throw will end the round, I can see making them more forgiving.
Yeah,
in the sense that like they might be too strong if there wasn't that long window there.
Definitely.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So I mean, that was cool about you could get strategic with the points. I thought that was fun. You could like, you could run out the clock and have the judges award a point, or you could do a ring out, or you could pull your opponent out of the ring if you're hanging from the edge, or if you wanted to like try to get their stamina down and then just knock them over, you got more points for that if you like not actually knock them to the ground. And even though the buttons were simple, but like the strategy could get a little bit more complex, I guess.
Yeah. Like when we were playing yesterday, you pointed out that sometimes it's strategically advantageous to just commit suicide if your opponent's like readying up a super, and to eat the 1 point instead of the 3, which is kind of funny because that's true.
I would always, if I got to that stun, like you could get stunned, but you still wouldn't be out, but you're pretty vulnerable, but you could still move.
Yeah.
And anytime that would happen, I would regardless back up, because sometimes I could come out of it and maybe get a move in and knock them down. But if not, I could at least like get off the edge and just take the 1 point. Like that was pretty much always my strategy was to retreat.
You can mash too to make your health replenish faster.
Oh, really? Okay.
And if you're holding A and B, you will also replenish your health. But like at a faster rate, but you sacrifice being able to attack while the two buttons are held.
Oh, wow. Okay. That might unlock a whole new level to this game for me, because I was already pretty locked in, but knowing that definitely will get me. I wanted to also kind of talk about, it was fun to play, but just from the vibes perspective, that's always kind of important to us, because that's like one of the main ways we can engage with the games. I thought this game reminded me of a better done Dark Rift. I said this on Butler's stream, but like you're basically on just like a flat terrain and then with just like a flat background. But I feel like they did a little bit more with the designs to make them pop and look kind of cool.
Yeah, like mechanically, it feels like, what if Deadly Arts was good?
Deadly Arts? Oh, was that was Gasp? Was that the one?
That was Gasp Fighters Next Stream. Yeah,
that was a nightmare of a game. That's a good comparison, because McKenna, like a lot of the reviews we read, were talking about how the characters and stuff, like it wasn't necessarily like groundbreaking. Didn't have necessarily the most creative characters. But what do you think about just like the vibes aspect of it, the characters and like the stages and stuff?
I thought the vibes were pretty cool. I liked fighting on a hot air balloon. That was just that felt goofy.
You're always fighting on a cube.
Yeah.
And they're always trying to like come up with what the cube is to make it seem less like a cube.
Balloon.
Big hot air balloon. Yeah.
Just the logo is really like, it's got like the multicolor gradient. Just like turning on the game and seeing the logo, I was like, oh, this is cool.
It has a hard ass intro video too. I forget what it says, but there's a bunch of like fiery red text that gets you.
It's like, who is the special one?
Yeah, it's so hype for sure. It feels like you're in Bloodsport or something like that, you know.
Would be cool if they had one of the cube stages was just an N64 logo.
Yeah, they kind of messed up by not having any brand integration, I would say.
Yeah, right.
At one point you fight on like it looks like a girder that would go on like the Golden Gate Bridge or something.
yeah.
The Golden Gate Eye. Yeah, that was okay. But the menus were even cool and the music was cool. Like it's pretty solid. Like, yeah, it's maybe not as like, it's not maybe so like mind blowing, but it's pretty solid.
Just having the rodeo mode. Just like, oh, you're doing a rodeo. You got to last as long as possible against a cow.
A cow. Yeah. Ushi.
Yeah.
The rodeo is my favorite mode.
Rodeo is your favorite, Sean?
Yeah, I think that's like the highlight of this game for me. I find the rodeo mode so satisfying. And even if you'll lose a lot along the way, but like you last a little bit longer and a little bit longer and a little bit longer until you finally get there. The cow is fun to play as too. When you beat the rodeo mode, you unlock the cow as a playable character.
Well, when I go onto Reddit and ask someone for a controller pack file, I unlock the cow.
Yes, you got us all the unlockable characters, which is very nice because there were some that we didn't get to see, so it was cool to see them in action. Maybe we should talk about everyone's favorite. McKenna, do you have a favorite character?
Beyond
the cow, because you didn't really get to...
Beyond the... Yeah, I didn't...
favorite one to play as?
You gotta set that ground rule. Don't say the cow, because we're all gonna say the cow.
Otherwise, it just goes... I wanted to say who mine was, but I can't remember any of their names.
I can't remember their names. We were just looking at all the characters in Nintendo Power, too.
I think it was the character's name, like Mai Ling or something, was who I liked. She was like
Mei Ling?
Oh, yeah. The girl with the blouse. Yeah, Mai Ling?
Yeah.
Mei Ling?
Yeah, she was cool. She was pretty much who I exclusively played as.
See, my character's name is easy to remember because he's a ninja and his name is Ninja.
Ninja, I liked his alternate outfit. I didn't like his ninja outfit so much, but he did look cool. With the purple on. Sean, who'd you play as?
I also would say that I liked Ninja the most.
Okay. Wow.
And then I think at first I was spending more time with Pierre the Clown.
Hell yeah.
I was kind of trying everyone, and I didn't really necessarily know how to play as Pierre. And then I was looking up a guide for it, and he can transform with his taunt. So if you like tap L twice, he can transform, and his nose will get bigger, and he will get stronger. And his attacks do more damage. And I'm not sure what all the different buffs are, but he has multiple levels to this where his nose will get bigger and bigger.
I had no idea.
But then if you take it too far, the nose will explode and it all resets.
Oh, that's sick.
That's crazy. Wow,
and I did like
so much.
He's got this interesting kind of fake out knockout attack where like everybody has these like blue aura attacks that are knockout attacks that can get you 3 points. Which are very spammable. And I liked how with his, he kind of backs up first and then comes in forward. So he's a little tricky with that. But once I kind of settled into Ninja, I kind of stayed with him for like, I think he was the one I beat the rodeo with. And I just liked his combination of attacks. He's got an interesting like teleport throw too, where like he can teleport and like flip the position of the two characters on the stage. So if you're like at the edge of the stage about to fall off, like you have to be like right next to your opponent to land it, but you can like teleport where like he will trade places with your opponent and then you can put them right on the ledge instead.
That's pretty sick. You mentioned like the spammable moves. Like I think Mai Ling had one that was like this kick where you kick them in the head or whatever and they'd fall down, and you could kind of figure that. There were times where I would like you could start the match and pull it off like right away on someone, which was very satisfying to get like a early 3 points in. And then there was like a tension in that too, where it's like, okay, I'm kind of safe now. Like I could take a few losses, but yeah, it was very fun when I could hit that move. McKenna, did you figure out your favorite?
So I liked Valerie because her alternate costume looks like Ocarina of Time Impa.
She did look like, well, Impa because her boots, right?
Oh yeah, she's got like That's what I said. She's got like a Sailor Scout boots.
If Impa was a Sailor Scout, yeah.
Yeah.
The characters did have cool designs. They did not. That's one part the game is lacking in is some of them. Yeah, some of them were a little generic, and then like there isn't. I find it weird that I'm like, because this is not something I come to these games for, but there's like no story aspect to it at all. You know, like I'm fine with it. It's just like martial arts competition, but like there's not even like, you know, part of the fun is reading the manual and getting the characters' little stories, you know, their blood type and stuff like that. And there was none of that in here. Not even they had their little profiles on Nintendo Power. We looked and we're like, oh, here it is. And nothing. We know nothing about these characters. That was a little disappointing to me, I think.
I need the cow story.
Why is the cow there? Yeah. The cow had a cool alternate outfit. You could go bowl. That was pretty sick too.
I also enjoyed the cow's taunt that is also an attack where she'll drink milk and then you can hit them with the bottle of milk at the end of the taunt. And it's enough to like send everyone into the Priori state, like deplete their health bar. Like it's very powerful.
Have you guys ever seen the Tekken Got Milk commercial?
No, is that real?
No. That is absolutely real. Yeah, hang on.
Wow, I'm surprised that Tekken got it on. Well, I'm not surprised. That was massive, I guess, at the time, but
Cow also has a great dance celebration.
Right, here you go.
Yeah, that's what
you gotta watch this. It's incredible.
I'll pull up the Got Milk. That's the thing is the cow in this did have like it had like a lot of sass to it. Yeah. Like doing the moves with the specials.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Law wins and
Yep.
Oh, wait. Was this lovely?
Here's the cow.
This wasn't actually in Tekken though, right?
No.
Okay.
Well, this is just a Got Milk commercial, but it fucking
This is
rules.
crazy that cows are so prominent in fighting games. You mentioned Kung Pao. I guess that was good. I guess one of the funniest things at the time people could think of was a cow doing martial arts.
Yeah, right? Like, listen, in Clay Fighter, when you're Earthworm Jim, sometimes he says, eat cow.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, you can't get away from it.
Okay, it's all...
Yeah, the cows made me think of Earthworm Jim, too. Yeah, I guess cows just in the 90s were...
Twister?
We're go-to humor.
Yeah.
What's other cow stuff? That scene...
The Far Side?
The Far Side?
Yeah, that's true. They made their own tools.
The cow tools? Yeah, there's the scene that opens up Mars Attacks where the whole cattle herd is running on fire. Okay, that's all the cow stuff I can think of for now. Anyway,
did you know that if you play Epona's song for a cow, they give you free milk?
Yeah, they love it. They talk to you even too, which is kind of nice. You mentioned we talked about which mode? Oh, rodeo mode, but the game does have like a lot of kind of unique modes, which is fun. Like the survival. I didn't play a ton of them. I really kind of did just stick with the arcade mode, but we were talking on the stream. We were kind of joking about the master mode, where you go in and gain these skills, and then if you lose to the Joker, you lose them all and start it all over. And we were saying it's sort of a roguelite game.
Yeah. That's a good point.
But the skills was kind of a cool concept too, of like being able to like unlock them and earn them for your character, and then like save that as its own unique character, and like then you could pull that if you had your controller pack against your friend. You could like be like, oh, here's my character I've like trained up and have some extra skills or something, which I would never do because I would just lose to the Joker, and I would for sure lose them all. I tried to fight the Joker. I could not do it. That was too bad.
Yeah. The Joker was also kind of susceptible to spamming knockout attacks if you knew how to time it the right way.
I kind of suspected.
But yeah, he was tough. Like, I felt like he was generally harder than the Master was.
I think so. Yeah, the Master, I don't think I ever lost to be honest. But the Joker, I never beat. So maybe I'll try. Yeah, I need to learn some of those. Like that kick I mentioned, I could try to do it, but I wasn't exactly sure how to do it. So maybe if I could spam that would be effective. But the Master was kind of a sick looking character too. He had a cool like alternate costume with the robe he had on or whatever. He was pretty tight.
Yeah, the way the game handles the skills, I really like the concept behind it, and I think for the most part it's done really well. I like that idea that you can like save your character in your transfer pack and you could go somewhere else and bring your character with you. Like that was cool. But then it wasn't really handled in quite the RPG way that it sounds like it would be, right? Because you can just like very quickly lose the ball.
Yeah.
But then kind of quickly get them back again, but then quickly lose them all again. So they were these odd sort of like the game treated them in this odd way where you sort of borrowed them almost rather than like permanently upgraded your character with them. But they were also not particularly game changing. Like if this game were played at a higher level, I'm sure you'd want to play with someone who has all of their special skills. And there's probably a noticeable difference at that level. But like it just kind of felt like, okay, here's an attack that I might use and might not. Oh, here's another one that I might use and I might not. Oh, they're all gone? Okay, well, let's try again.
Yes.
Okay, I got that one back again. Right, so it was like hard to formulate too much of a cohesive strategy around them necessarily, but they were still a neat thing to get, at least temporarily.
That's how I sort of engaged with it too. And I again, I didn't know if it was because like, I was like, maybe it was similar to what I was saying about those like extra buttons in the basketball game where I was like, maybe if you get good at this, it's like these are actually like interesting, good mechanics. But I'm not the one to judge, you know. And so I couldn't tell that about the skills. Like I kind of did treat it like it was ephemera, you know, like, okay, I lost him, whatever. But I don't know. I assumed maybe that if you were good at it, it would be a cool feature, but it was hard for me to say.
Yeah, I kind of wish there were a different punishment other than losing them. Just because I think if I were able to hold on to them, I would spend more time figuring out how to incorporate them into an overall strategy. But since they felt like they were just kind of on loan in a way, it was like, well, I guess this is nice to have for now.
Yeah. Maybe if you only had to give some
like,
up
count on them always being there.
Maybe you lose half of them or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe it could have been a little bit more fair. And I was playing, when I was doing master mode, I was doing it on like easy and I was still struggling with that. So it did make it like, that's why I started thinking of the skills really as only part of that mode. Cause I expected to leave, like it did become like a roguelite cause I was like, well, I'm going to go play master mode and I'm going to see how far I can get before the Joker takes me out and I lose all my skills. McKenna, was there anything else you wanted to mention about this game before we get out of here? I feel like it was a cool game. I will continue to play this game, I think.
Yeah. If I had to pick a fighting game to play on the Nintendo 64 from the ones we've played so far, this one has a high likelihood of being picked.
Yeah, this one's probably strong. This and of what we've done so far, I feel like we've probably got some good ones to come, right? But maybe. But in
the future, yeah.
In the future, okay. I would say Killer Instinct is also one that I would go to for sure.
KI Gold is pretty solid. I would like to echo my friend Frosty. When we were streaming yesterday, the button configuration fucking sucks in this game. Like it is kind of annoying to remap your buttons.
Only because
not a fan of the way they have that set up.
You have to go in separately as second player to do it, but it doesn't really give you indication that is what needs to happen.
I mean, it does the thing where you have to like you highlight the button you want to change and then you scroll through a list.
That too, yeah.
It's like I'm more of a fan of where you go down to like the input command and then you just hit the button that you want on that. It's easier to do.
Yeah. That was a weird menu for it, but it seemed like they really wanted to map out they wanted to have a little map of the controller, which is funny because you don't use like any of the buttons really. Just make them all Hirari. Was that what it was? 3D.
Yeah, right. Hirari.
I guess it was just a game that I'm glad that I gave a shot, and I think it holds up really well. It's hard to know who to necessarily recommend this to, because I think that like if someone doesn't ever play fighting games, like I don't know how much they would enjoy this or not. McKenna, I guess maybe you're a good barometer for that, and the fact that you enjoyed it meant that it does have things going for it, maybe for people who don't normally play fighting games. But I think just as far as like having a nice retro fighting game experience, something to just turn on and play for half an hour or something, like it really holds up well for that.
This may be someone like Butler. I feel like in your circle, it might be it. Like that might be a kind of game you were talking about. Like, oh, this would be perfect for like a tournament or whatever. I think there's like a group like that of people who are like into those curiosities.
Oh, yeah.
I think that appeals to like someone like you. But that that's maybe more of a people who are like looking for those more niche sort of fighting games.
Yeah. This is for real miners such as myself, grabbing my pickaxe, looking for the real nuggets hidden in the rocks.
Yeah, McKenna might be a good example of like someone, but again, I think if you were never presented this game, like, and hey, we're gonna talk about this on a podcast, you would probably never think twice about it. Yeah.
No, but that's more because I wouldn't think about any. Really?
Yeah. But you probably wouldn't go to someone else who's like, I'm not into fighting games, and be like, I don't know.
Yeah. maybe I'd show him the cow and be like,
show him the cow.
Check this game out for the cow.
Listen, this game has clowns, ninja, and cows. That's all you gotta say.
That's all you need.
And the more I think about it, with the inputs, like it'll have like quarter circle inputs and things like that, but it doesn't rely as much on those kinds of inputs the way a Street Fighter game might, or Guilty Gear or something. And so maybe that does make it more accessible in some ways.
I think so.
I've tried to play something like Street Fighter with people who aren't as into those games, and even doing that like quarter circle motion and stuff are sometimes the things that trip them up. Whereas with this, if it's just like a sequence of tapping B and A or pushing like up or down with that, maybe that is more doable.
I think it's definitely possible. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we didn't talk about Tomahawk.
Oh yeah, well, fuck that guy. All right, keep moving on.
Yeah, party on!
Do you find yourself playing older games and wishing that there were new discussions about those games? Enter Tales from the Backlog. Hi, I'm Dave Jackson, and on each episode, I'm joined by a guest to break down those games that may be stuck in your ever-expanding backlog. Each episode looks at one game in depth, focusing on mechanics, story, music, and other aspects with no spoilers until a clearly marked spoiler wall in the middle. If you've played the game, go ahead and climb that spoiler wall and enjoy in-depth story discussions, and if not, jump out when we warn you and maybe go play that game for yourself. We have over 100 episodes in the feed, everything from Disco Elysium to Tunic to discussion episodes about how to get into horror games, and if games actually need to be fun, or if they have more to offer. I guarantee that there's something in there for everybody. Once again, that's Tales from the Backlog, available wherever your podcasts are found.
These were, this game was pretty fun. NBA in the Zone, it was all right. So not a bad episode, not a bad collection of games by any means. Our next set of episodes, I alluded to it already, with Olympic Hockey 98. It's basically the third permutation of a game we've played over and over. But also, and we've got a great guest for this one. It's going to be a really fun episode. We're talking about Jeopardy. It's going to be quite a fun time. We've streamed it once. I think we're going to stream it soon and play on hard and see what kind of questions we can get. But yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. So stick around for that. Butler, again, thank you for coming on. Thank you for having us on your stream. You know, tell people where to check that out.
Yeah. All right. So I'm Dr. Butler. I do, follow me at twitch.tv/Dr. Butler. That's doctor spelled out. Every Sunday and Wednesday, I do fighting games and Dreamcast games. We have a great time. Follow me on Blue Sky as well. Just look for Dr. Butler on Blue Sky. I'm not going to spell it all out. It's like .bluesky.social.com or some bullshit. Also, I'd like to, you brought up people who play fucked up games. Look for the Frog Crew.
Frog Crew, yeah.
That's Frog Crew spelled with a K. These guys, we're always doing crazy shit. Our bread and butter is Street Fighter the movie, the game, a game that everyone says sucks. But listen, we are the truthers. We understand that game is actually lit.
Can I play that with you sometime? I've never played it, but I love the movie actually. So
yeah, the movie's fucking great. Listen, we're doing this thing in September. It's called SawCon. We're doing SawCon 0. That's our online anime convention. We have all sorts of fun stuff. My roommate and I, we do like a mixology panel where we do like fighting game themed cocktails. Frank does food hell, which is where he like makes the worst thing. He'll make like some kind of fucked up borscht.
Okay.
And then like eat it. He'll subjugate himself to it. That's awesome. It's fun times. And we're having Street Fighter the movie, the game, the movie, which is like this YouTube poop, if you remember those. So that's fun.
Throwback.
Great stuff. Frog Crew with a K. Look into that.
We'll be checking that out. Wait, McKenna and I, we're now, because we've been on your stream, I've been telling people we're part of the fighting game community. So yeah, we'll be checking that out. Thank you so much. Sean, thank you. It's good to have you back on the show. Of course, everyone should go check out our network, the Soundstone Network, which you can find at soundstone.network. But what about you? What do you got going on? What do you want to tell people about?
Well, there's Kirby Conversations, right? If people want to hear me talk about Kirby with the people on that show, I encourage them to check that out. We also talk about Smash Brothers and other games by HAL Laboratory, and it goes beyond just Kirby. But I have that as a regular thing. I'm looking at starting some new projects too along the way, because like I said, I know I've been talking a lot about Kirby lately. Still want to keep doing that, but would like to explore other games too, and have been looking at other ways to write about and cover other games as well. So maybe some new things on the horizon. I do have an article in Darren Hupke's Mario Tennis for Game Boy Color issue of Retro Game Zine. So that'll be out soon. And I'll keep working on various other writing and podcasting projects that people can keep their eye out for.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for coming on. Always a pleasure. McKenna, nice talking to you.
Yeah.
Nice gaming with you.
Yes.
Like everyone, check out soundstone.network, and you can find us online at flashback64.com. That's got all our stuff. And until next time, I guess we'll see you for some hockey and some Jeopardy. Later.
Bye.
Yeah, amazing art!
The ZeldaCast is getting even bigger. Join us on patreon.com/SPNet for access to the ZeldaCast XL, the new bonus show featuring podcasting's dynamic duo, Andy Spiteri and Gooey Fame.
We're taking a new approach to do our bonus shows and giving you more of what you love, letting you get more involved in the show itself. Each month, we'll have some fun and play a few games, answer some Patreon questions, and discuss some Zelda topics on a more personal level.
Consider joining for only $4 a month, and you can ask us questions about Zelda or anything else on your mind. Let us know what topics and segments you want us to discuss, and be a part of an amazing community of Zelda fans hosted by two best friends.
The ZeldaCast XL is taking everything you love about the show and ramping it up even more. So come and hang out with us, only on patreon.com/spnet.